Yo family, what's happening people? Hope you're all doing well. This is a highlight video, all of the best moments in my opinion from Bring Me the Horizon's classic album that is Suicide Season. I finally got around to checking it out. It has been a long time in the making. Like I said, these are the best moments. If you want to access the entire uncut album reaction, it is on Patreon. Otherwise, enjoy the highlights and my review at the end. Cheers. Okay. How many years after the last album was this? The drumming! Holy fucking shit. Instrumentally, a lot more up my street. This feels like they are veering into the world of metalcore, I guess, which is obviously kind of interesting to listen to this album through the perspective of, again, doing the discography almost backwards at this point. And obviously, Sempiternal being such a massive album, still to this day, one of the most iconic metalcore albums ever made. Let's just call it what it is. It is interesting to hear their sound evolve up to the point at which Sempiternal was released. You can hear some of the riff styles start to be incorporated that obviously went on to be so iconic throughout Sempiternal. And I'm assuming the following album as well will be even closer to that sound. I don't know which album is considered to be like better between this album and There Is a Hell. I would imagine the closer we get to that Sempiternal sound, the band's sound should get better, at least in my opinion. I'm definitely more inclined to listen to something like this. There's a little bit more groove. I love the consistency of the main riff and the I guess the loyalty to that riff and just continuing to just slam it home and allow the drum patterns and the intensity of the drums to change to kind of just give it a different look. It's like relatively repetitive as a song, but the drums kind of keep things interesting, even though it's a lot of the time the same riff, the whatever the riff pattern is. But definitely a fun riff. That kind of riffing style is definitely up my street. It's quite bouncy, it's fun. the lyrical content, not paying too much attention to it, but it's not as like glaringly obvious that it's like angsty teen stuff anymore. It's still like quite edgy, but it's not like absurd lyrically for the sake of it, which I guess is probably a little bit more tied to the earlier deathcore days, which I know a lot of people who've been saying on Patreon and stuff is like, and not just for Bring Me, any like older deathcore projects I've listened to, a lot of people are mentioning that, like, you know, that was just the thing in deathcore back in the day, where it was just who could be the most absurd in their lyrical content and the actual musical content. You know, look at the likes of Infant Annihilator, which their whole thing was you know, they made a fucking career off of doing that. Obviously instrumentally very sick and ridiculous, but, and vocally of course amazing. Dickie Allen's insane, but like a big part of what makes that band so recognizable is because of how ridiculous their lyrical content is. So I don't love that for the most part, especially with Bring Me style in the other albums. It just didn't really sound great, but we're definitely getting there. I'm enjoying this a lot more. It's not playlist for me. It's not something I see myself going back to, but it's definitely like that edge that Bring Me the Horizon has used throughout their discography in their later years. Sempiternal, even some of the newer stuff, you sometimes hear Ollie kind of go on a rampage like that. That aggression, that intensity, and just that direction in the music feels a little bit more concise, and like you can hear the band kind of getting it together and like locking in their sound, which obviously comes on to be so iconic in that particular period with Sempiternal. And then they continue to evolve and evolve and evolve, because it's kind of hard to give Bring Me the Horizon a like label overall across their entire discography, because they've continued to change their sound over the years, which is so interesting. And even looking at my Spotify here with Bring Me, like I don't think there's any other band that I have this many songs liked. 58 songs. Now obviously my Spotify likes are all over the place as well with liking particular tracks. Sometimes they just don't end up on my liked tracks, so it's probably more than that. I'd say there's a lot more than 58 Bring Me the Horizon songs that I could easily listen to over and over again. So yeah, because like look, obviously here, Sleepwalking, like a lot of these big tracks, that's one of my favorite Bring Me the Horizon songs. That's not liked because it's probably liked on a different album. I don't know. And this album's liked about 90 times. I don't know what the fuck happened here. Like a lot of these are, yeah, like this is chaos. I don't know. I think it's because when you like the single version of it, it adds it as a like, and then also when the album comes out, you have to like them again, which just is so annoying because they like get released separately almost. But yeah, like there's only one song off of this album. No, this is this album. Yeah, this Amen song is probably liked about 22. No, this is a different album. No, it is. Sorry, I'm getting confused here. Anyways, you get what I'm trying to say. Let's continue on. I'm looking forward to hearing this song again. Do you know what? I might actually go over to the original album just so I can see the full run length. It's kind of annoying me that I didn't realize this was here. Let's go to Chelsea Smile. I don't know if the mix is going to be the same on this. I'm assuming it will be. Let me just hear this again, see if it's... Is this the same song? Yeah. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the meme of... I don't know if it's a piss take or not, but it's so fucking hilarious. It's like some kid doing a Bring Me the Horizon cover, and he's like he's screaming so ridiculously raw, and it's so annoying, but it's also hilarious. It has to be a piss take, otherwise the kid is just the most fucked vocalist in the world. Like, he's awful. That's what Ollie sounds like. So I guess he's taking the piss. It's either he's trying to be this version of Ollie and actually making it worse, or he's just so bad that he sounds like that, or he's just taking the piss and he's intentionally doing it. But that's what Ollie sounds like in this section. That like old school sound where it's like he just sounds like the fucking what's his name? That little crazy motherfucker in the cage. Is it fucking... Who am I thinking of? Fuck. Tasmanian Devil, is it? Yeah, I think it's that guy. Chelsea Smile. I'm pretty sure this is a banger song. Yeah. What a riff. Yeah! I forgot about that part. Yeah, in the space of 2 years, this band really leveled up. I mean, from going from the previous album, which I am blanking on the name of, we literally only checked it out like last week, but I think PTSD has forced that album out of my mind. It wasn't that bad. Count Your Blessings. We did Count Your Blessings first, and then we checked out the EP. This is what the Edgier Seat was made for, that EP. But yeah, man, this is fucking... Look, I mean, we'll see what the rest of the album sounds like, but I'm enjoying this sound of Bring Me, okay? Ironically, Ollie being such a charismatic frontman now and being such a big part of why Bring Me the Horizon are where they are today, he was like the lagging part of the band for the first couple of years, clearly. Like, he's just not quite there. Instrumentally, they're still fucking slamming. This is fucking sick. The little switch ups, it just feels so much more refined. It feels like they are a lot more confident in what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve. Some very, very nice touches. Some of the transitions there, that main riff, the intensity, the rhythms, the groove. Oh yeah, brilliant. Obviously, the introduction of production makes the songs feel a little more dynamic and less repetitive, like the earlier album. Okay, that's a song to consider for the overall discography ranking. That's definitely got to be considered for sure. I'm gonna like it to remind myself that that exists when myself, Burb, and Steve do tackle the entire discography. That tone.
I got a secret. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the back of my lungs, and I'm gonna keep it. I know something you don't know. I got a secret. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the back of my lungs, and I'm gonna keep it. I know something you will never know. You will never know. I know something you don't know.
Yeah, one of those tracks that regardless of what you think of the vocals, the instrumental and the energy they bring across the board is just undeniable. Timeless track. It really is one of those that when a song makes you want to stank face and groove along to that much, it kind of just becomes timeless. Because you can put this on in any environment, especially now with the, you know, the stature of the band and where they've gone on to be. It's this is a certified hood classic, this track is. Now, I don't think I've heard anything else off of this album, so it's going to be interesting to dig a little bit deeper, but that is definitely, like I've alluded to, one of those tracks that I have to keep in the back of my mind, because to be honest with you, thus far, the album prior to this, Count Your Blessings, and the EP, there's nothing on that that I would consider to be in the top 20 songs in their discography, and that is kind of ultimately what I'm searching for here, because again, just for context for anyone who's maybe joining this album review late, basically myself, Metal Burb, and Steve do plan on doing a video on the Metal Roundup channel where we rank the entire Bring Me the Horizon discography, and obviously in order for that to be a fair video, I have got to hear all of the songs. I know Steve hasn't heard all the albums yet as well. I think he's in the same boat as me where he just has to check out the albums that I've checked out. I think it's fair to say that he'll probably be in the same boat as me, as like these tracks, this album is probably where his enjoyment will start as well. I think we have similar tastes in that sense. So this is the first track from the full album, Count Your Blessings, and the first EP that they did, that is definitely one to consider, despite how big their discography is and how many amazing songs they have. I mean, even from the last couple of records alone, you could have multiple songs in the top 20 of their discography, and then you factor in fucking, you know, That's the Spirit and Sempiternal and all these massive albums that they've had even prior to kind of like the new generation of Bring Me the Horizon. This is the first one that is definitely in contention. But yeah, the last track's so much more dynamic than anything I've heard from them before. Again, it just feels like their songwriting has gotten so much more mature compared to Count Your Blessings, only in the space of 2 years as well.
Goodbye, my friend. Goodbye, my love. You're in my heart. This was preordained that we should part. Reunited by and by. Reunited by and by. Goodbye. No handshake to ensure. No, there's nothing that was ready to fly. 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 Oh my God, it was ready to fly. Let's have no sadness. Furrowed brow. There's nothing new. They're dying now. Let's have no sadness.
Was Ollie singing with a fucking retainer in? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's nothing new. They're dying now. No living is no newer. No living is no newer. That it was written in blood. That 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 was written in blood. Oh my God. It was written.
Why has he got such a lisp? I knew it side note. Okay. Not my favorite song in the world, but it's way more up my street than anything we've heard on the previous album. So this album already is definitely a lot more tolerable across the board musically. Production wise, it's a little bit more stepped up than the last album. Not that there was any really like notable production elements in the last track or in the last album. In the space of 2 years, it feels like the band, obviously in that period of their life, I don't know, when they were like 16, 17, when they would have written Count Your Blessings or whatever, you know, they were very young. So even that like 2 year period, it seems like they just in themselves matured. It's still a little bit angsty, like I mentioned. It's still quite, you know, you can tell it's still very angsty and written by someone who's quite young. And again, I'm speaking from someone who's 28. I'm not exactly a fucking old timer here, but you know, you can feel the angst and the pissed off teen vibes from this, you know. It's written by teens or early 20s. I think they're still teens at this point. For teens, you know. The songs are so much more dynamic as well. So much more dynamic. Look at that energy. Feel it. Oh, come on. Yeah, even I feel like the endings of each track are like great examples of how much they've progressed in terms of their overall songwriting. It does feel like it's a lot more considered, and there's just a little bit more like emotion and consideration for a more mature song based on how they've ended the tracks. I think there's still a lot of aggression and angst and just pure desire to create something that is punishing and aggressive and energetic throughout with the riffs. The riffs are so fucking fun and bouncy. But the ending of the tracks feel like they get into like, I feel like they kind of finish off somewhere, you know? It feels like a little bit more, again, just that track structure feels more, it just feels a lot more considered and a lot more mature.
Party till you pass out, drink till you're dead. Dance all night till you can't feel your legs. Party till you pass out, drink till you're dead. Dance all fucking. Party till you pass out, drink till you're dead. Dance all night till you can't feel your legs. Party till you pass out, drink till you're dead. Dance all fucking.
The layered guitars, nice touch. Okay.
I'm so drunk I can't even see anymore.
Again, Eric Cartman making an appearance. Okay, right. Discard everything I said about the band feeling a little bit more mature with that song. Now, obviously, there's tongue-in-cheek elements to that. Football season is over. You know, it's almost like a rowdy hooligan football unit. You know, it's kind of touching a lot of stereotypical themes there. But yeah, look, on one hand, I can appreciate that they're just writing about, I'm assuming, what they're experiencing in the earlier years of their life. You know, partying, drinking all night and shit like that. But lyrically, it's a bit cringe, you know? Again, it's music written by teenagers for teenagers. So trying to appreciate that from the lens of someone who is, I'm pushing 30, no matter what way I want to look at it. I am pushing 30. So obviously it's a little bit cringe to look back on. But that is the beauty of hindsight and perspective, is that when I was this age and I was into this music, if I was into this music, I probably would have thought those lyrics were cool. And I'm sure they did at the time as well. Now, again, they kind of get away with it because it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek based on the song name as well. But it's still a bit cringe, all right? You know? Like party music that's this heavy, like deathcore / metalcore leaning music that is about partying is a bit wild to me. I never in a million years, even though I love metal music now, it's not party music for me at all. There is obviously certain songs that I would enjoy to listen to at a party because my idea of partying is a little bit different now. But this is like them designing music to be played at like house parties and shit, which is a bit fucking weird to me. Maybe that's just because I didn't grow up around this music, so I didn't ever hang out with anyone that like would have been playing music like this at parties, but I just don't really see how this is a good vibe for a party unless you want to like start flipping tables and fucking KOing each other and shit. I don't know. But then again, that is also like a very naive way of me looking at it because it's like stereotypically like, oh, you have to be violent to listen to this music, which I know is not the case, but it's still just very, like if I want to be at a party, a house party and like have a few drinks and shit and like, you know, enjoy myself, even if I'm into this kind of music, it's kind of like the last thing I would imagine wanting to have on. But again, it's tongue in cheek. I'm definitely overanalyzing it. Sleep with one eye open. But I will say that despite me pretend like saying, oh, let's take it back, I don't actually really think that they're actually that mature anymore. musically is kind of where I'm going with that in terms of their maturity. I think lyrically they've definitely gotten a little bit more mature, which makes sense. They've gone 2 years older, 3 years older, whatever. And I mean, like, their musical choices have gotten a little bit more mature in how they've actually written songs. Like, even some of the moments, although that was a short song, kind of like an interlude track, it was still like, it still felt a lot more dynamic than the previous album. So that's kind of what I mean more about the mature side of things. It just kind of came at a bad time because lyrically that was like their least mature song. Some great riffs on this, man.
Fuck you!
Cheers, lads. Again, that's what I mean by just more considered songwriting. It's so much more dynamic. Little panning of notes and shit.
If I had it my way, I'd sling you through with the knife that you left in my back. All this shame, all this guilt, all this regret. That's me. I'm inside of you. I'm inside of you. I'm inside of you. I'm inside of you. And then you were fucking falling upon me. From the inside out. Everything will fall apart at the vein. You got yeah, you got you better fucking you better beg for mercy. And cry me a fucking river.
Bass tone coming in. I think that's the first bass tone I've heard in this entire fucking discography so far. Again, just dynamic, man. Little pick slides. Again, the ending of their tracks always kind of open shit up and give you a new perspective on the song. In this album. Not very smooth.
Best friend, made forever. Best friend, made forever.
Okay. Yeah, again, there's that kind of like angsty lyrical content that it's a bit cringe. You know, it's like just using bad language for the sake of it almost. Best friends are supposed to be forever, cunt. Come on. Whatever he said. But yeah, this album is really good. Especially for its time, like 2008. This song in particular, although not my favorite, feels like from what I've heard so far and what I know of the discography and the later albums that follow, I think that's like one of the best examples of like the perfect middle ground for all of their discography, especially in the earlier parts, especially in the earlier days, maybe up until Sempiternal. I feel like this song, again, I haven't heard the next album, so and a couple songs on this album, so I can't speak for that definitely, but so far this feels like it's going to be tough to beat. This is Sleep with One Eye Open that I'm talking about, by the way. That feels like the best example of the middle ground of all of their different sounds. Like, I mean, that song had like some punk elements, it had metalcore riffing, it had deathcore screams and intensity, And it also had like the production elements that become prominent in the later parts of the discography, with like some of the echo moments on Ollie's vocals. So I feel like that's a really good example of like the perfect middle ground of like what they were known for in the first album and the first EP, and then what they're obviously known for on this album, with a lot of like really fun, high intensity metalcore riffs, deathcore leaning vocals still, but obviously leaning more into metalcore in some moments as well. It's kind of a blurred line, to be honest. It feels like it's really kind of faded out of the deathcore stuff. It still has elements in there, but you can hear it going more towards a metalcore sound. But yeah, this feels like a really good middle ground of all of those sounds combined, which was pretty cool to hear. Especially again, knowing the context of where the band goes on to be, which is why it's sometimes fun to do the albums in the complete opposite order, because you're hearing things form in real time. So yeah, Diamonds Aren't Forever. I believe this is a popular song. I can't actually see the play counts for some annoying reason, because I have the screen on portrait mode. Is there a way I can see it in this? No, it doesn't show me. Come on, just show me. Jesus. Oh, I know this song. Where have I heard this before? Okay, they're experimenting. There's the accent. Your life is a fucking lie. Yeah, this album's fucking incredible. I did not expect to enjoy this as much. The energy is just so... I'm sorry to just kill the momentum here, but what the fuck? Was that my headphones? What the fuck was that? I guess that happened. Thought I just clipped in my headphones or something. But yeah, the energy they've set in this album just... Okay, right. I think what they lose in, let's say, where their shortcomings fall in the realm of things being pristine and done very carefully, like that modern style. Like, for example, that fucking audio error, whatever happened in that, and the really abrupt, like, tail end of the way when the song goes completely silent there, it doesn't sound natural. It almost sounds digital or something. Like it's things are being cut off unnaturally as opposed to like everyone muting at the same time. It feels a lot more like digitally chopped up. Obviously they're experimenting with the production a lot more in this, so maybe that is the case where they actually did kind of like digitally chop that part out. I don't know. I'd imagine it's probably not the most complicated thing in the world for them all to land and stop at the same time, but it sounds like there's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like the gate is set in a way that it's like cutting off very abruptly. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound natural. So where they lose points on the production side of things, where maybe things are a little bit messy and raw. I actually want to hold off on using the word raw there because that's actually going to be my next point. But where they lose points on that side of things being a little bit jarring at times, they kind of make that back up in raw intensity. And that's why I wanted to save the word raw, because I think the rawness of this is a big selling point of it, because that energy is so raw and aggressive and bouncy, so much groove. The riffs are so fucking meaty. That tone is sick, and it's fun to hear that tone in the context of this album, knowing that some of the moments in it go on to be some of the most iconic riffs in metalcore history. I'm hearing like this fucking Shadow Moses breakdown and some of that tone. You can just really imagine that those open strings ringing out, like that tone is just, I instantly think of Shadow Moses and Sleepwalking and all these tracks, like just fucking sick songs. Empire. Maybe we'll go on and listen to that album again. I've never done a video on it before, so maybe I can re-listen to it and go through them again. I've got nothing but time, really. There's no Bring Me albums that are on the horizon, pardon the pun. I think it would be a fun deep dive to go back through some of these albums, especially now with the context of some of these, because I'm fucking enjoying this, and I actually really am looking forward to the next album as well, because I did not expect to like this as much. But even getting 2 songs out of this that I think have to undeniably be in contention for some of Bring Me's best songs across their entire discography, which is insane to even say because of how many amazing songs they've had across the years on the newer albums, and their stuff from 2008 is still just as sick. Again, their production has gone to different levels. It's in a different stratosphere now compared to back then, but it's almost cute to see them playing around with stuff back then, because it's like obviously what the band goes on to be is such a production focused band, but they've still got amazing chops. Like instrumentally they're all incredible. Ollie's gotten so good, but they're also one of the better bands on earth when it comes to like fun production choices and shit, and they're like paving the way for a lot of bands as well with production stuff. So it is cute to hear them like experimenting in the earlier days. The riffs are just so much more dynamic, man. Man, I gotta hear these 2 bands collaborate again on like a newer project with how much their sounds have both changed. That'd be such a trip to hear again.
I won't give up on you.
Okay, right. We have essentially one song left, so I think I'll just let it play. I have got an interesting talking point that I will bring up at the end. I'm also going to load up Patreon and just see what you guys are saying in the comments about Suicide Season. I didn't actually check that beforehand, which I kind of regret doing now. So,
And after everything you put me through, I should have fucking been to you!
he sounds like... Wait. He's... he sounds like the fucking fellas in SpongeBob. You know that episode where everyone has to be like you? Yep. I should have fucking pissed on you. Like, that's what he sounds like. It's kind of fallen off a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Last couple songs. Ever since Diamonds Are Forever. These last, I mean, it's one song. Relax through. Well, 8 minutes long. Jesus Christ. Okay. Let's get the lyrics up. Chills. I was not expecting this to get so emotional. I mean, the album's called Suicide Season, but the lyrical content hasn't suggested darker themes really at all. This almost feels like an Architect's bridge, like what Architects would do before a big epic moment in one of their earlier albums. Or even something from like Holy Hell, which obviously came fucking 10 years after this, so I mean just ahead of their time all the time, aren't they, man? Little digital percussion. Okay. Well, I wasn't expecting a song like that in this album, despite that, in hindsight, being the most obvious theme for an album called Suicide Season, to be at some points talking about the topic of suicide. But upon looking a little bit deeper into some things online, which I guess I'll show you guys here, let me just quickly switch over. I'm on Song Meanings and I'm looking at threads for, you know, from like fucking 17 years ago. Like, this is people commenting 17 years ago, which is hilarious to even see. This is like back when the internet used to be wholesome. Not that it can't still be. I hope this is a wholesome video you're watching right now. But, you know, there's obviously a lot of doom and gloom, and people are fully aware of the negative powers of the internet and the positives. But at this point, it was just the Wild West, and people are so, you know, just so friendly and leaving each other smiley faces and shit. But looking at something here, I just found out the song's truly about a former friend of Ollie's whose dad died. He started taking it out on Ollie and his other friends, which led him to losing all of those friends he had. Ollie said so in an interview. Now, I believe this interview, this link is dead at this point. So I can't actually click it. I guess I could try. It's probably not the best thing in the world to be clicking a link from fucking 17 years ago. But yeah, I guess rest in peace to this website. Don't know what it is now. Mortgage loans now, apparently. But yeah, an emotional ending to a, quite frankly, very fucking good album. I was not expecting to enjoy that half as much as I did. I think it goes without saying that is probably one of the points I wanted to bring up was, although this is not my favorite, like stylistically, of course, you guys know my style at this point and my tastes for the most part, I can see a very strong argument for this being anyone's favorite album from Bring Me the Horizon. It has a bit of everything. Like, I mean, it has the raw aggression, that like angsty teen emotion, and it also has, like we've seen in the final track, really, really raw emotion, outbursts of emotion and some meaning behind it. The songs themselves have a lot more structure than the first album, in my opinion, and the EP. It feels like there's a lot more direction. Obviously, thematically, there is a direction. The album artwork, I believe, is like a kind of, you know, playing off of someone spilling their guts, literally, like leaving all of the emotion out on the table. And Suicide Season, I guess, is not necessarily directly referring to someone who's actually killed themselves, but I guess more so about a period of depression, like the season of suicide. Not literally the season of people killing themselves, but like people actually going through like periods of emotion and I guess periods of life where you are down and you're experiencing shit. So yeah, very interesting in that regard. It's a pretty interesting theme to dive into, especially when they're such a young band at this point. So it does play into the raw aggression of the actual instrumentals and everything. The instrumentals are incredible in this album. Some of the riffs are fucking phenomenally good. I can definitely see an argument for this being people's favorite album from Bring Me the Horizon, especially if you've been listening to this band since this album dropped. Because obviously times have changed, I find it quite hard to appreciate this as much as I enjoy some of their more recent albums, because again, my style and my preference is just more for a more, I guess, pristine, more modern touch. But I can definitely appreciate something like this. I can definitely see an argument for this being people's favorite albums. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what Steve thinks about this, and obviously talk to Burb a little bit about it as well. I don't know where Burb has this as his all-time favorite albums, but I'd imagine this is pretty high for him, just because I'm assuming he was probably listening to the band back then. Not fully sure. I'll have to speak to him about that, but this is going to be a fun video to do at some point, myself, Steve, and Burb, to go through the discography, because, I mean, from going through the Spotify, I did like, let me see, let's go over to this. I did like, as you can see, 2 songs, Chelsea Smile and Diamonds Down Forever. Like, I mean, I like these songs, like literally like them, but adding them to the playlist is obviously a little bit different. So yeah, man, that was Suicide Season by Bring Me the Horizon. I would love to hear some of these songs in a modern context, with the stage presence, the production, the improvements they've made across the board, especially Ollie. I think some of these songs, which is probably the most impressive part about this album, still hold up very well today. And I can see why their newer stuff would have definitely split a lot of the fan base if you were really into this sound back in the day, because this is such a distinct sound. It's very, very heavy and very, very raw. So obviously they went down a more polished production route, especially with, you know, the later albums like That's the Spirit and Ammo and shit like that. So yeah, incredible band. Incredible band. Constantly changing direction, constantly paving the way, and sparking like new eras of modern metalcore, or just metal in general, or alternative music, whatever you want to call it. Very, very good. I'm genuinely shocked that I enjoyed this as much as I did. So I look forward to checking out their next album, which I'll jump over to the Patreon because I know I mentioned I'd do that. I believe is a lot of people's favorite album. So I see Tundra here. He said, there is a hell is so sick. Fingers crossed you like it. It's their older sound refined to perfection. Then they did a big pivot with Sempiternal. So there's actually a good storyline building into this now, because I've really enjoyed this. So now it's just a case of whether or not There Is a Hell can top this album, because I thought this was absolutely fantastic. Again, I went in with like very low expectations because it's their older stuff, and especially off of their first album. This album was a massive leap in terms of overall quality from their first album, in my opinion. Carrie said, glad I heard it. Don't think I need to hear it again. I completely agree, Carrie. Yes, absolutely. I was the exact same with this one. You know, one to listen to and never to return to. One for the history books. Je m'appelle Jade. I liked Older Bring Me the Horizon, and even I didn't like this one. Suicide Season is the best in terms of quality of all the deathcore Bring Me the Horizon days. Okay, right. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like I can't fully categorize this album that we've just heard as fully deathcore. I feel like it does have metalcore like melodies and shit. So it's definitely probably more deathcore, especially towards the end of the album, I feel. But there's definitely metalcore elements in there. Maybe someone can give me some feedback on that, how you would define this album in terms of subgenres. I'm not great at refining and defining subgenres to know exactly what they are, but this felt metalcore in the guitar department for a lot of the riffs. Obviously there is some like deathcore drum moments, and definitely in the vocal department it feels a little bit more deathcore. But yeah, some of the intense moments definitely feel a little bit more deathcore leaning, but I feel like the overall vibe of it is a little bit more metalcore. James said, I need to learn how to convey my tone better in text format. James, I don't know what you're referring to there. I'm guessing it's on the last video. Maybe you said something. I don't think there was anything that I that came across as rude or anything, if that's what you're implying. I don't know. Fair play for giving it a go, haha. And like you say, at least, I think James is the one who suggested that I check out the older EP. I don't think you came across wrong in any way, so don't worry about it, James. And like you say, at least you've got the whole picture now. It made for a good watch though, man. Plenty of laughs for me. I'm 36, so was the perfect age for the MySpace era after all the new metal bonanza. White Pony was actually a huge one for me. Lucky enough to see them in Manchester in 06. When Count Your Blessings came out, it felt like a big step forward from the EP. I mean, to be honest, it was pretty rough then, and they got a lot of shit from the scene, but I saw them supporting Killswitch Engage in Manchester in 07. Like you said, it's live music and it was heavy as. A tall order though, opening for Killswitch, who are renowned for being super tight. If you fancy some early deathcore from the era that holds up, check out All Shall Perish, The Price of Existence. It's pretty damn melodic, incredible guitar and bass, different to deathcore these days at a different level that bring me at the time. The lyrical themes are also more along the lines of politics, so a little more to it. I appreciate the videos, man. I look forward to Suicide Season. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Suicide Season video, Mr. James, and I appreciate your comments, sir. Let me go to, that's the Deftones one. There was some more comments. I had to re-upload some videos, by the way, because just realized that there was so many that were blocked and shit. Where the fuck was the first Bring Me one? Oh, this one here. So Ish said hull up, and I just said hull up because I didn't really know what Ish was trying to say, but I agree, hull up. And then I've already read these comments on the first video, I guess. MySpace era, yeah, I've read all this. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Oh yeah, I think this is what James meant. Can't believe you're giving the blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So no, I didn't see that at all, James. I didn't see that. I didn't see this in any way, shape, or form as being like rude, if that's what you were saying. So yeah, guys, that's enough yapping from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then continue to support on Patreon. I really appreciate all the support. I don't know if this will end up on YouTube at some point. I just hate chopping up the videos for highlight videos on YouTube. It just takes so much fucking effort. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one for There Is a Hell. Believe me, I've seen it. Is that the full name? Yeah, whatever that album is, the next one. And I look forward to it. Hopefully it won't be too long before you get that video. So yeah, cheers. See you in the next one. Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye.